Welcome to this BEUS Cast, the Airtifact. We'll be talking about ultrasound and air, in particular detecting abdominal free air by ultrasound. We all have experienced this. You managed a beautiful view on the heart and suddenly there is the enemy. Some air is coming in front and the picture fades away and the heart is just gone. But the presence of air is not always an obstacle. It can help us to establish some diagnosis. There's one artifact created by air that we'll be talking about, the reverberation artifact. Let's have a closer look at the origin of the reverberation artifact. Whenever an ultrasound beam encounters air, this air presents as a very strong reflector. And the beam will be bounced back, and it will bounce back and forth between the strong reflector and the ultrasound beam. So the ultrasound machine interprets this incorrectly as not only one reflector, but as if it encounters a second reflector and a third reflector, and maybe even more. So we call these the first and the second reverberation, and together this is the reverberation artifact. Let's see how this looks in real tissue. So here we see an image of a lung. Here one rib, another rib here, and in between we have this very strong reflector being air. And as you can see, just a little bit more down, we have another reverberation, and yet here another horizontal line, another reverberation. And these lines are exactly the same distance as we have between the probe and the reflector. And of course we know in ultrasound of the lung that these are the A lines or the A profile. So let's have a look in a moving lung. And here we see sliding and also this reverberation artifact. So this means that there is air inside the lung, and it's a dry lung because we don't see much B lines or anything else. So yes, indeed, this is how it should be. We see three pictures that look quite similar. Each time we have a bright reflector and a reverberation. Also here, bright reflector and a reverberation. Also here, bright reflector and reverberation. So yes, we are looking at air three times, but the correct interpretation is necessary as the air is in three different places. So the first one, we already know this picture. We have a sliding lung with an A profile. So just a dry lung which is being ventilated. The air is inside the lung just as it should be. The next one, you also have two ribs and here the reflector with A profile. But there is no sliding, there is no lung pulse. This is a pneumothorax. So we are looking at air which is outside the lung. And the last one, here the probe is placed at the level of the abdomen, and this is where some free air is. So we have a pneumoperitoneum. Let's jump into a case of a patient in shock. As a part of the rush protocol, we had a look at the right upper quadrant of the abdomen, and what we saw was a lot of intraperitoneal fluid. But not only that, there was some annoying reverberation artifact just coming in front of these beautiful pictures. But was it really annoying? Of course not. It was the clue for our diagnosis. Indeed, what you are looking for here is some intraperitoneal free air. And we can see that because of the enhanced peritoneal stripe sign, or EPSS. Let's not mix it up with the cardiac focus, where EPSS stands for E-point septal separation. Here we have a more detailed view. So let's have a look. What are we exactly looking at? Here we have the probe. Behind it we have some subcutaneous tissue. And right here is the peritoneal stripe. As you can see, right here, it suddenly becomes more white, brighter, or enhanced. And behind it, you can see the reverberation artifact. So this is the enhanced peritoneal stripe sign, meaning that there's some free air in the abdomen. We rushed with our patient to CT, where we immediately saw a lot of free interperitoneal air. And it shows us very clear where we should put our ultrasound probe. The best point is as anterior as possible, because this is where the air will be in a supine patient. You can also put a patient in a left lateral position and have a look at the liver for the detection of interperitoneal free air. This is the ultrasound of another patient where we are scanning through the abdomen. We can see some bowel, and as we're going more and more anteriorly, suddenly there it is. So here we have the peritoneal stripe, which suddenly here becomes very bright with a reverberation artifact, showing us some free peritoneal air here. What I wanted to point out here is that sometimes it can be a little bit difficult. As you can see here, you see some bright, very small, but though a bright reflector with some reverberation artifact behind it, and also here. But the difference is this is not an EPSS because the peritoneal stripe is right here. This is just some air inside the bowel. So compared to abdominal X-ray, ultrasound does quite well. It has at least a sensitivity of about 92% compared to a poorly 78% of the abdominal X-ray. Specificity remains quite low, but same for abdominal X-ray, of course. So POCUS for intraperitoneal free air is, as a lot of POCUS, a good rule-in. Of course, CT scan remains the golden standard. When we're talking about which probe to detect the EPSS or intraperitoneal free air, actually the one who is in favor is this one. It's the high frequency linear probe, where we can see a lot of detail. Of course, whenever you are looking at the abdomen with a convex curvilinear probe and you see the EPSS or some signs of intraperitoneal free air, that is just fine. So let's jump into some conclusions about detecting free intraperitoneal air by ultrasound. We know that only a small volume of free air can already be detected by ultrasound. Of course, this depends greatly on the examiner himself and of course some patient characteristics. CT scan remains the golden standard for the detection of free air. But whenever you have your ultrasound machine with you for a patient with abdominal pain or who is in shock, the finding of the EPSS can just change your opinion and help you greatly for the diagnosis of this patient. Thank you for your attention, and let's hope that we see you back at the next BEUS Cast. Bye!